Hello and welcome back for another video on ARK Survival Ascended. Today is the day that the Archelon from the ARK Editions mod officially makes its way into the base game, which will most definitely add some much needed life into the ocean of ARK. In this video I'll be showcasing everything you need to know about the Archelon, where to find them, how to tame them, and an in-depth guide on their abilities and anything else in between. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Firstly, I'd like to point out that if you already have the ARK Editions mod installed and own any Archelon that you want to keep, then you'll most likely need to keep the mod installed, as the official version of it will count as a different species. However, there may be an option with the modded Archelon that will allow you to manually convert them to vanilla versions, which is something I read up on Garuga's Discord. For example, this is implemented in the modded version of the Ceratosaurus, where you can convert it to the vanilla version with the flick of a button by accessing its radial menu, and this will allow you to keep it even after uninstalling the mod. I'm not sure if or when this will be added for the Archelon, but I figured I'd let you guys know that the option may be available in the future, if not already, as I haven't tested out the mod version myself. The first question you'll be wanting to know is where to find the Archelon. There is currently only 4 official maps in ARK Survival Ascended. They will spawn on the island and the center maps, and can be found almost entirely throughout the ocean. With the island map, they seem to be more common in the north, south, and west parts of the ocean. I haven't really seen them spawning on the eastern side of the ocean. I must admit I was expecting them to spawn nearer to the ocean's surface, but they are typically found very deep in the ocean. I'd like to say roughly around the depth of where you begin to see plesiosaurs. With the center map, they will also spawn around the entire ocean. However, there is far more variety with their spawn behavior. You can find them spawning in the shallow waters around the blue obelisk and all over the nearby islands on the eastern section of the map, and also spawning in the giant lake underneath the floating island. The only place you won't find them in the ocean is of course on the far left side of the map, and in the deep underwater cavern in the deepest parts of the ocean, which is on the far eastern side of the map, so they most likely will be easier to tame on the center, plus the wild levels are so much better anyway. They will also typically spawn alongside jellyfish, so keep that in mind when searching for them. And just to give you more of an insight, I use the Dino Finder mod, which showcases the areas of where they will spawn. I did do a few dino wipes on both maps just to get a good idea, and the results for the most part appeared to be the same. As they spawn in dangerous areas of the ocean, I recommend bringing additional equipment to tame one of these bad boys, including all that standard gear that you take with you when out exploring. I would definitely recommend bringing a set of scuba gear. Be sure to bring a couple of spare scuba tanks, as you never know how long you're going to be down in the ocean, especially on the island considering how deep they can spawn there. A pair of scuba flippers and probably some backup pairs just in case you get into a scrap of any kind. I used to not bother wearing scuba masks in ASE, but they are so much more important in ASA to improve visibility underwater. And if playing the center map, if you get lucky and find one in the shallow waters of the ocean, you might even be able to get away with not using scuba gear at all. Moving on to their preferred taming food, which is biotoxin, which is great as this is very easy to obtain, especially as they typically spawn with jellyfish by their side, with their preferred kibble being superior kibble, which of course is the best way to tame them. Now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty stuff. It is time to tame yourself an Archelon. Once you have found your desired level, I would highly recommend killing off everything hostile in the area. They commonly get attacked by Megalodon and Surfactinus, and who knows what else, when all these poor guys want to do is just go about their day in peace. My Baryonyx is almost always my go-to when exploring the ocean. Maybe not in the deeper parts, so I'd either use the Baryonyx or the Basilosaurus, but you can honestly ride anything for protection to aid in killing off the threats. They are neutral creatures, so will defend themselves if provoked, which usually leads to them dying to these threats a lot of the time. So if you're not too confident in taming one out in the open ocean, it might be a good idea to lure it to a trap to safely tame it instead. So they are tamed passively by sticking either biotoxin or superior kibble in your final hotbar slot, which is very nice. By far the easiest creature to tame that has been added from the ARK Editions mod, and it is as simple as that. Repeat the process until it is tamed. I used 10 superior kibble to tame this level 150, and this was on 1x taming, and it only took around 10 to 15 minutes. Once tamed, the saddle can be unlocked at level 45, crafted in a smithy requiring 44 engram points and some basic resources to craft. Admittedly a very expensive saddle for a creature unlocked at level 45, but for good reason. Stats wise, this level 150 came out with a whopping 14,364 health, and the stamina and weight stats are pretty good too, so can be pretty tanky, which could be useful for many people PvE and PvP situations. They don't deal too much damage with their bite attack, however they are immune to the jellyfish stun and dismount and will deal more damage to them, where they also receive a buff when killing jellyfish, which massively increases their damage output and also grants them a small amount of damage resistance for the duration of 90 seconds. You can also feed biotoxin to them to heal up their health a little quicker. It is a great travel mount when it comes to ocean exploration, having a great turning radius and is able to turn 360 degrees on the spot, allowing for easy navigation of ARK's oceans. Its maneuverability is still great when sprinting, where it does also have a relatively quick swimming speed. It can also make its way to land, admittedly slower than a snail can move, but it still moves on land. That's the main thing. The saddle offers some really cool perks. Firstly, it does of course have 4 passenger seats, so it could potentially be the bus of ARK, able to get you and your friends across the ocean quickly, which I believe is the only real aquatic creature to be able to offer this perk to a tribe. As you can see, there is oxygen tanks on the saddle, and this isn't just for decoration. It's got the looks and it also has the goods. The saddle will provide oxygen to all passengers and also the rider, so there's no need for a scuba tank when using the Archelon. It will also give players oxygen even when not sat in the saddle. Swimming in close proximity to the Archelon will give that player breathable oxygen. You do have to be very close to it, but this is also a very nice touch. It does have some very cool abilities, one where it passively produces its own algae over time, which is definitely going to be a game-changing item. This can be harvested by accessing its radial menu, where you'll be able to see how much algae you can harvest. It takes 2 hours to regrow when the Archelon is parked on land. However, when in water it doubles the speed that it can produce its algae, only taking 1 hour to cap out where it can be harvested to begin producing more. The algae itself has a spoil timer of 20 minutes, but can be placed inside a refrigerator to increase the spoil timer, where it does stack into 100, so it will take quite a long time for a full stack to spoil. Another thing that is really cool is that the algae can be seen visually growing over time on the Archelon's body, and once removed will go back to its original state and begin the process all over again. I must admit the attention to detail on this creature is outstanding. The Archelon's food stack can also be leveled to increase the amount of algae that it can produce. I did test this out and it does seem to be true. I could harvest 14 algae with 18,000 food, which was its maximum when fully generated, and after leveling its food stat up to 60,000, I could then harvest 27 algae, which is what it capped at when fully generated. Personally, you won't catch me leveling its food stat, but that's just me, as I probably prefer to level mine in more useful stats like health or weight, for example. So what does the algae do, I hear you ask? Firstly, let's talk about the algae itself. If you look at the description of the item, it states that most herbivores love this stuff. Basically, this can be used as taming food for a variety of different herbivores. It works kinda like raw mutton does for carnivores, and there's never been a good alternative in ARK for taming herbivores. It's always been berries, crops and kibble, and berries and crops take forever to tame anything. While those days are over, the Archelon will offer valuable utility with this feature. You cannot use the algae for herbivores with a passive taming method. The Archelon algae can also be used as an ingredient in crafting Algae Sushi, which in the modded version appeared as an unlockable engram. However, you can just access a cooking pot or an industrial cooker and you can craft one straight from there, which requires 20 algae, 3 raw prime fish meat, 10 long grass and 1 white colouring. Interesting. It has a 60-minute spoil timer and can also be placed in a refrigerator for that tasty increased spoil timer, and will stack into a stack of 10. I'm pretty confident in saying that we've all been there, where we've damaged a creature accidentally after knocking it out and tanking its taming effectiveness, where there's nothing else you can do other than letting it wake up and re-knock it out again to get back that full taming efficiency. Well, those days are also over, as you can force feed the Algae Sushi to any knockout tame and it will improve any lost taming effectiveness by 10%, which will have a cooldown of 5 minutes. Once that 5-minute timer is up, you can force feed it another and rinse and repeat to get that creature back up to the full 100% taming effectiveness before chucking in your taming food, which can be an absolute lifesaver. One more thing to mention is that if you do have Archelon babies, you will need to keep them in the water, as they do have a similar mechanic of the surfactantness, where if they are on land, they have a certain amount of time to get back to the water before taking health damage. And that's going to be the end of the video for today. I hope you all enjoyed it and I hope it was helpful to you all. And if it was, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more ARK content. There's plenty more and there's plenty more to come. I've got lots of projects flying around in my head and I will get around to them at some point. I would really appreciate it, and it would also contribute to my yearly goal of reaching 50,000 subscribers. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.